To thank first off the Quechee Club for remembering and recognizing the wounded warriors of Vermont. We appreciate it. It was a surprise ceremony. We didn't expect this because it's not about us, the Vitties. It's about the wounded warriors and our fallen heroes. But the suggestion for this flagpole and the flag came from the House Committee, and Pat started the whole thing. The way I understand it, at one of the committee meetings, and I'm wearing these, by the way. So I just had cataracts on Monday, and you can see, I didn't know there were so many trees in them. But you can't see anything here, which is fine, so I'm learning to do it this way. So Pat says she's sick and tired. I've heard that a lot, that's expression. She's sick and tired. Sick and tired of seeing Murphy's Farm with a great view with no flagpole. And Bob O'Leary said, well, then why don't you provide for one? Pat said, well, we will. So she comes home and says, I've just committed us to a flagpole. And then I found out the next meeting, when we found out the cost of all this at the next meeting, and Bob just told me this tonight, that Pat said, gee, for the cost of the flagpole and the flag, I could have had a facelift.
You'll be back for that.
Those facelifts are expensive. So anyway, I decided to make it, or I think Pat and I decided to make it a gift to the club in honor of the wounded warriors of Vermont. Now, my interest in the wounded warriors goes back over 10 years. I represent the Secretary of the Army for the state of Vermont. They call us CASAs, Civilian Age Secretary of the Army. Each state has one. Some of the largest states with big active Army bases have two. But I've been doing that for 10 years, and part of my responsibility is checking with the wounded warriors when they come back, and also monitoring their progression as they get back on their feet and use their prosthetic legs and arms that we've had and get back into the civilian life. So I have a real interest in the Wounded Warrior program. And that's what this dedication here is all about. You know, it's been said by many that the noblest vocation and endeavor is selfless service to country. And when you think about that, all of our veterans and our people, men and women who serve in the military today, are the epitome of selfless service to country. And that's very, very important. So I ask all of you tonight to support the Wounded Warrior program. There are many ways of doing it. You see it on television all the time. There's USA Care program. That's a wonderful program. There's the Army Emergency Relief, but there's many other ways you can support the Wounded Warrior program. I know many of you are, because I've chatted over the years with you about that. We did see, Pat and I saw something, it was a speech at the Marine Iwo Jima Memorial in Arlington, Virginia, I think it was last week. And it came on the internet, and I downloaded it and looked at it. But there were the last 2-3 paragraphs, and we thought it'd be very appropriate to read these tonight. And so that's what I intend to do. We need to remember that God created this vast and glorious world for us to live in freely, but also at great sacrifice. Let us never forget, from the Revolutionary War to the current war on terrorism, and all the wars in between, a sacrifice was made for our freedom. Remember to pray for this great country of ours. And also, please pray for our troops serving in harm's way around the world. And by the way, we have troops in over 203 countries around the world. I don't know if you're aware of how far we're represented throughout the world. And also, thank God for being alive and being free due to someone else's sacrifice. And both Pat and I thought that was appropriate tonight. And so remember these words, if you will. Now we're going to close out here. We have an honor guard. We're privileged to have the honor guard represented by the American Legion post of Thetford and Norwich. The commanders are led by Fred Adams and Jim Harlow. They are going to fire a volley salute, not only to our wounded warriors of Vermont, but to our fallen heroes of Vermont. And you might not be aware of it, Vermont has had 26 fallen heroes. And Pat and I have gone to several of their services when they came back from Iraq and Afghanistan. That is the largest number per capita of any state in the United States, is Vermont. So they're going to fire a salute, and that is going to be followed. By the way, they told me to warn you that the repercussions, the report from these new rifles are very loud. So if you have hearing aids, and most of you do, I have one. I would be very, very careful. They're going to fire away. They're going to fire away. Then after that, we're going to have taps played. And taps, please do the appropriate honors of putting your hand over your heart. If you are a veteran and you are covered, you can salute. And they changed that about 6-7 years ago. So if I would ask Jim Harlow and Fred Adams, commanders, you're on.
Hey, fire!